Good day to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning into Sim Broadcasts for round 2 of the 2025 MRC E-Challenge season. My name is Travis Mehlinger. I have returned. I intended to be here for round 1, had an unfortunate illness. Thankfully, Peter Butcher, who is here in the booth with me today, was able to fill in the gap, expertly so, kick off an exciting first round of the season. Peter, welcome.
Thanks, Travis. Good to be back, and good to have you back as well.
Yes, I am delighted to be here. I love the E-Challenge. This is a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll hear again from Tom Jones later in the season, and later today we'll have Zdeněk Cagaš in the booth with us. So full complement of commentators in the booth for round 2 at the Berlin E-Prix Circuit today.
Yeah, we are 2 rounds in after today, which is nice. In a 5-round championship, Travis, we've got Sao Paulo there at the end, a new track for season 2.
Yeah, it should be very exciting. Today, once again, at the Berlin E-Prix Circuit, gave us a very exciting race last year. Imran Azar swept the top spots in the sprint and in the feature. And Adam Brown and Carlos Machioides ended up swapping positions for second and third between the sprint and the feature. Will Carlos end up on the podium again this year? Will Imran Azar sweep the top spot? Feature winner last week, Gabber, I believe, won the sprint. Lots of drivers in competition for the top steps of the podium. There you can see the configuration for the circuit. 10 corners. The first one, a very long carousel tightening into the second corner. Nearly a hairpin there in turn 3. Kind of an awkward double apex coming off turn 2. Another hairpin-ish corner there for turn 4 before the kink at turn 5. Very fast run down to the boost section of the circuit. Sweeping left-hand corner in 7, and then a sequence of hairpins before we come back onto the main straightaway. This gave us a lot of excellent action. I expect the same again here today, Peter.
Yeah, it should be good. We've got the usual free practice, which is concluded. We'll have 10 minutes of qualifying where the drivers need to do 2 hot laps. That means they need to leave the pit lane exactly twice maximum. Then we'll have the duels, which is something we've enjoyed for the last couple of seasons, where the top 8 drivers will compete in a quarterfinal and then a semi-final and a final to order the top 8 on the grid. Everyone else in qualifying will stack up behind those guys. Then we'll have the 15-lap sprint race where the drivers are allowed to use 1 attack mode, and then a 33-lap feature race with a top 10 reverse grid and the 2 attack modes available, Travis.
Yes, indeed. And we should have qualifying kicking off in just a moment. While we're waiting for that, you can see a little bit more information about the mod. It is the E-Challenger EVO. 2 configurations there. We have, well, we're missing a bit of the information there, but you can see fully electric 51 kilowatt hour motor and a little bit more power in boost mode. During the feature race, they use lower power during qualifying and the sprint a little bit more power, and of course they get a little bit extra juice if they go through the boost zone, which they're limited to doing 3 times during the course of a race. Still waiting in the background to see if we have cars coming on circuit. While we're waiting for that, yeah, I think we could probably take a quick look at championship standings while cars are driving out. There we got green flag in the background. And just waiting for, we're looking at pit lane. There we go. Cars on circuit right now. That is Gerard Fornieles behind, I believe. No, that is Gabber behind. That might be Careless Machiotis at the front of the crowd there. And the blue machine, Daniel Orlov. So everybody coming out of pit lane now, warming up tires for the first of the open qualifying. We will narrow it down to 8 drivers for duels just as soon as this session is concluded in 9.5 minutes time. Should have time for each driver to do 2 or 3 flying laps if they can get in and out quickly. So we watch. Yeah, still looking at Daniel Orlov. That is, there we go, Timu Sarkinen coming through, warming his tires. The aggressive tire heating technique coming into the turn 9 hairpin. Gabber just started a flying lap, a couple corners ahead of him right now. There we can see Gabber coming through turn 1, nice and tight to the apex turn 2, this double apex turn 3, neatly onto the power, sweeping over to the right side of the circuit, our left. Coming through this little kink here, and now full power, should be 230, 240 kilometers per hour before he jumps on the brakes for the left-hand corner at the end of this straight. Now, neatly down to the apex, smoothly into the power, a few tire tracks putting down, but mostly getting the energy into the launch of the car and less into scrubbing rubber off those tires. Now hard on the brakes for this very tight turn 9 hairpin. Gabber and the quicker drivers known to use a little bit of handbrake for these corners. Imran Azar famously doing it last year. Now full powered brake just before the 50-meter board here. Gabber, a little bit late on the brakes, wide of the apex, neatly gets the power down, but that will cost him a few tenths. Tight to the inside of the circuit to shorten the run to the line as much as he can. Across the line now, that is good for first position at the moment, but I expect that will be eclipsed by some of the quicker drivers behind him.
Well, I don't know. Gabber's had a good run of it so far this season, and well, let's see what the other drivers can manage. We expect to see 11 times. We've got 11 drivers, I think, on the grid competing this round, as we've got Roni Krompush about to start a timed lap. Roni left his last timed lap quite late in last week's session, and well, that's an awkward entry into turn 1, Trav, there.
Yeah, big slide. If you can get the 4-wheel drift neutral steer, it can be kind of quick. But that's the rear a little bit out of control there. That will have cost him a few tenths. Gabber was 4 tenths quicker than his time in his qualifying time in open practice. Imran Azar has just crossed the line a tenth behind him. So right now the running is Gabber first position, minute 1.23 seconds, 1/10 ahead of Imran Azar. Daniel Orlov in third position, minute 1.49, great lap from him. Carlos Machiotis a couple tenths behind him, and Nico Pantola rounding out the top 5 so far. Stephen Martin crossed the line just a minute ago to be the 10th driver to set a time. Stephen Martin at the very back, slowest time so far, minute 4.12 seconds. So now we're waiting for Roni to come across the line, the 11th of 11 entries today. See where Roni stacks up when he comes across the line. 9th position, minute 2.84. And now we breathe for a moment as we wait for drivers. Oh, Gabber sailing out of pit lane quickly. I don't think the driver behind him was on a flying lap.
Yeah, outlaps.
Yeah, both on outlaps. Gabber forcing the issue to get favorable track position early. A little argy-bargy there, but I don't think anyone don't think anyone experienced any harm there. As I was saying, drivers now warming up the tires, starting out laps for another run. There we see Cyril Bisset, the rear of the car getting away from him pretty badly there, but neatly into the left-hand hairpin corner here. And on his way down toward the sixth corner that will feature the boost zone for the sprint and feature races.
Yep, Cyril on and out, on a flying lap here. And we start to get the second timed laps that these drivers are allowed to do. We're not going to get any more times than we have on the board. It's just 11 cars, so this is going to be fairly straightforward. Cyril is coming up to the end of the lap. This tight hairpin, which last season saw quite a lot of action, especially at the start of the race. Travis, I think it was also one of the locations that triggered a safety car, as Cyril actually coming into pit lane. He's not happy with that lap at all.
No, he's not. It was so long ago, I don't remember that clearly, but I do vaguely recall at least one car being upside down, wheels to the sky in that corner after a schmozzle. Cars coming together into a very tight hairpin. Obviously high speed coming into that corner, so a great zone for overtaking. But these mostly open wheel cars, it's easy to get wrong, and a collision can lead to catastrophe. Gabber, the rear of the car, just barely under control. So jumps on the brakes here for the turn 9 hairpin, neatly on the power. No tire tracks coming from under those rear wheels. A little bit more tentative on the brakes there, slightly before the 50-meter board. Very neatly out of the final corner, very smoothly on the power, now tight to the inside of the circuit. And Gabber, will he improve when he comes across the line? He is on the brakes, but he has not improved. Still minute 1.23 seconds at the top.
Yeah, it wasn't a faster time for Gabber. So surprisingly, yeah, that is what's happened there. As we wait to see who else is on a flying lap, I think we've got, interestingly, we've got Agostino. Agostino's on his 5th lap in qualifying, so I think somebody missed the memo about the number of laps you're allowed to do. So
yeah, there was a question from one of the drivers. It may have been careless early on, asked if you, or Cyril Bisset possibly, who asked if you can abort through pit lane. You are allowed to abort through pit lane.
There we go.
Mo's telling us in our ears that Cyril Bisset has not done that, so I think he may get a telling off from the officials at some point.
Well, he just went through the pit lane.
Yeah, we did see him go
starting
through
a lap
at least
now.
once. Yeah, here we go.
Interesting. I've not seen that technique used thus far. But yeah, I think that's it for Gabber though. He's definitely done his 2 laps.
Yeah, Cyril, if he has enough energy to make a number of laps, this is an interesting strategy where it could be favorable to him to keep heat in the tires, as long as he's not overheating them. If he keeps the temperature up, if he's unhappy with a lap and he still has enough energy to get around, why not duck through pit lane, sacrifice the lap? Ooh, rear of the car getting away from him there. It was a picturesque shot coming through turns 7 and 8. Neatly onto the brakes, looks nice and tidy through the hairpin here. So we'll see if Cyril Bisset chooses to keep this lap, or if he aborts once again through pit lane, now into the final corner. Wide on the entry, doesn't quite make the apex, but does manage to get the car slowed down. Way too eager on the power on exit. These cars have a ton of torque up through the rev range, we will say. It's obviously a single-speed electric motor. Cyril Bisset did not improve, and now parks the car out on circuit and telepits as we watch Agostino come through pit lane, and now Fornelais come across the line. This appears to be, judging by his line, appears to be finishing a lap, and he does improve 1 position to a minute 2.6 up to 9th.
Yeah, Imran Azar just also cross start finish to go to pole position there with a 101.06. And yeah, smashing Gabber's provisional pole time out of the way there. So that is a good performance at this stage of qualifying, and a good stage at this stage of the event for Imran Azar, as we now see Roni Krompush starting his 2nd timed lap, Trav.
Yeah, Roni Krompush appears to favor using the rear of the car to steer through the 1st and 2nd corners. It worked a little bit better that time. Still a big slide, though. He's going to be held up. Roni goes very wide. That is,
it's Gerard. There's only 2 of them. Yeah, only 2 of them on the track, and Gerard Fornelais was not aware that Roni was coming. So Roni clearly not happy with that, and he's not going to get time, is he? No, he's not going to get time. That's it.
No,
So
he won't.
Fornelez is compromised. Yeah, Ronnie's frustrated, and you can see why. Fornelez completely oblivious to the fact that Ronnie was coming there. And well, it's a shame, and that will be the end of qualifying. Ronnie will not get his second time in, and that's P10 only for him.
Yeah, interesting that Fornieles chose to abort that lap because it was clearly his out lap. I don't think he realized that
No, he
Roney
just
was
finished his
closing
lap.
so
That was his
quickly.
in lap. So
Ah,
yeah,
okay, my mistake.
yeah, they have to
Yeah,
finish their lap. They're not allowed to telepit. So yeah, that was him coming in, and he just didn't realize anyone else was on a lap.
yeah, unfortunate for Roney. Roney looked like it wasn't going to be good enough for the top spot, but definitely cleaner through the first complex, 1, 2, and 3, and then unfortunately he found Fornieles coming out of a corner or into the sixth corner and ruined what looked to be on for an improvement. So Ronnie Kronpush will not make the duels. Stephen Martin there at the very bottom also will not be participating in duels, nor will the 22 machine of Gerard Fornieles. Duels will be between Imran Azar and Cyril Bisset, Gabber and Agostinho, Carlos Machioides and Timu Sarkinen, and Daniel Orlov and Nico Pantola. We didn't say a single word about Nico Pantola other than to say he was in fifth position after his first time lap. Quiet so far, at least from us on the topic of Nico Pantola. We'll see if he can improve in dual qualifying.
Yes, we will. Dual qualifying will be put together now, and in the meantime, I think we can probably look at the championship standings that you teased earlier, Trav.
We can indeed. There you see the top spot. Gabber won the sprint race and then finished well in the feature last week. Carlos Machioides once again reprising a podium effort. Imran Azar, winner of the feature race, but did not finish very well in the sprint, well down the order with a penalty. Fourth position, Cyril Bisset, followed by Timu Sarkinen. Rick Cardall in sixth position, followed by Ronnie Kronpush in seventh, Agostinho de Silva in eighth, Daniel Usimane in ninth, Mika Sarkinen rounding out at the top 10, and there you can see the remainder of the order from Kirill Kondrik in 11th down to 17th. So Gabber, so far on top. Imran Azar was the star of the last season, swept this event last year, and was able to take the championship. But Gabber through the first round and into dual qualifying in the second, setting the benchmark for the championship standings. There you can see the team's championship, Team Sidus with a clear lead, OP effort from Gabber and Imran Azar, the Sidus drivers, ahead of Zafar Alice in second. Yes Motorsports, Carlos Machioides pulling a lot of weight there in third. Race Green, Ronnie Kronpush, their sole driver so far this season in fourth. Sasiski in fifth, SM Racing in sixth. Born to Race, disappointing seventh for them. Used to seeing them further up the order. And at the very bottom in eighth position, the hosts, MRC.
Absolutely nice stuff. Yeah, so a bit of a small wait before we do the duels, but I think we can confirm the order that's going to be happening in. We're going to have Imran Azar and Cyril in our first quarterfinal travels. So yeah, P1 versus P8.
Yeah, we will indeed. I fully expect if we make bold predictions from time to time. These are more fun with Tom Jones. I feel like he has a flair for the bold predictions, but we'll try to make some in his absence.
I'm sorry,
Not
Travis.
so bold.
I'm sorry.
I don't blame you. I don't feel like I'm quite up to Tom's standard either. So it's certainly no blame to you. This is we'll have to team up to see if we can outdo Tom today. A not so bold prediction is that I believe Imran Azar will be able to handily dispatch Cyril Bisset in the first duel, though. One mistake can cost enough time, and Cyril Bisset is no slouch. Cyril Bisset could advance. On a mistake for Imran, I expect Imran to come through. Daniel Orlov, Nico Pantola, very much closer. Daniel Orlov setting quite good times in open practice, and then his qualifying time not very far off the very top. And then I would expect Gabber to come through as well on Agostinho. And then Timo Sarkinen, Carlos Machioides. Timo Sarkinen, we've seen plenty of good pace from him in the past, but Carlos, we've seen him a lot in the last couple of years, particularly in MRC E-Challenge and in GT2. It's been interesting watching Carlos improve through GT2, but in E-Challenge, he seems to have the measure of the E-Challenge cars. Very good results last year. Seems to be very comfortable with these cars. I would expect to see Carlos perform well again today.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can expect really from him. He's a solid pair of hands in this championship for sure. So yeah, don't be surprised if we see another good result from him. But there we go, the duels confirmed. We have Imran Azar versus Cyril Bousset, Daniel Orlov versus Nico Matola, Moti Jutis versus Sarkinen, and Gabba versus Agostino there. So that's going to be your the first 4 duels of tonight's action. The duels are going to be starting in just a moment's time, and 22 will be so Forneless is going to be promoted into the duel, so that does change it slightly. So I think Cyril Bousset is going to be disqualified from the duels, as far as I can work out.
Yes, that and the explanation we got as Peter was describing the swapping of the order there was that Cyril Bousset did breach the rules in the number of qualifying laps he took during the session. So Cyril Bousset demoted outside the top 8. Fornieles elevated to 8th. Will duel against Imran Azar in just a moment.
Yep, so we should get confirmation of that before the start of this session. And yeah, let's get going then for the duels, Travis.
Session coming up now. Waiting for cars to leave pit lane. Just a single course car out on the circuit right now as we look across the start-finish line. 15 and 22 called to line up at the end of pit lane. So we should have these cars out on circuit shortly. One will join the circuit, and then the second will be asked to join a few seconds later. Give them plenty of space so that they do not impede one another when they're out there on their flying laps. Imran Azar on circuit now. Fornieles on circuit as well, watching to see them line up at the end of pit lane, and the pit wall there just in the way. Can't see who's first. It'll be Imran Azar. So Imran Azar out, and Fornieles wasting no time. He could stand to.
I think he drove through a red light at the end of pit lane.
Yeah, he may have.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, the theme today may be well, so far anyway. The theme today is attention to, or perhaps inattention to, the rules. Fornieles now has backed off substantially as we see Imran Azar come down at the back straight here with no other car in the background. Tidy on the brakes, who want to get plenty of heat in these tires without overheating them. And Imran Azar, very tentative, well, perhaps not tentative, but very patient through turns 7 and 8, and approaching turn 9. You can see him weaving slightly to get plenty of heat in those rear tires in particular. He'll use the rear in these cars to rotate around these really tight corners. And now we see Imran weaving a little bit more, sliding to scrub as much heat as he can. Very wide line in the last corner. Nice and tight on the apex, gets the power down very nicely, and Imran Azar will start his first dual timed lap now across the line and approaching the first corner. This long carousel, very smooth through here. Tight apex all the way around. Keeps it just down to the marshal post now through the third corner. Nice and tidy, very close to the walls there on the brakes and into the fourth corner. Very clean through here. Nice through turn 5 all the way out to the wall. Very smooth on the power, no wheel spin at all, at least not perceptible to us. Hard on the brakes now for this turn 7. Very wide, did not get the car slowed down well enough. This could be the mistake that comes into Fornieles' favor. Very clean through turn 7 and 8, though. Very close to the wall there in turn 7. On the brakes for turn 9 now. Nice and tight to the apex. Gets the rear of the car around nicely as he hits the closest part of the corner there. On the brakes into turn 10 now. Nice and smooth against the wall. Into the power very nicely. And he'll move to the left side of the circuit, shorten the track as much as he can across the line. And the time will be minute 2.13, a full second slower, Pete, than his open qualifying time.
Yeah, which definitely throws the ball into Gerard Fornieles' court. Let's see if he can get anything out of this as he winds down the lap. It doesn't look like he's going to manage it from his sector times. He was a second slower in sector 1, a second slower in sector 2, and it's not going to be a win in this heat in this duel for Fornieles, as Azar will take somewhat a bit of a sigh of relief perhaps there.
Yeah, I think he's escaped with a couple of mistakes. He'll want to clean up his effort in the second of his duels for sure. Fornieles had a great opportunity there to put down some clean times. Unfortunately, I think a bit eager, perhaps a bit put off somewhat by his escape out of pit lane right behind Imran Azar. and then being told he needed to back off. Daniel Orlov now on circuit smoothly through the 7-8 complex and on his way down to turn 9 here on his out lap. Nice wide line through here. He'll use the rear of the car to come around. A little limited wheel spin. Now down to turn 10. We'll see if he takes a wide line on entry. Uses the rear of the car to come around, get the power down, and straighten the exit of the corner. So Daniel Orlov should be flying down to the first corner here. And we'll check to see where Nico Pantola is out on circuit. Nico Pantola coming through the final corner now and down the front straightaway. So as we watch Daniel Orlov come through turns 1 and 2 and now into 3, looking very clean so far, Pete, as he approaches turn 4.
Yeah, let's see how he does on his flying lap then, as he starts to focus on what he needs to do. Nico Pantola, meanwhile, has been doing quite a lot of tyre warming on his out lap as Daniel sets the first sector time. It's quick. It's a 21.9. Let's see if Nico can get close. Yes, he can. He's 2 tenths up at this point.
Yeah, under 22 seconds is a mighty good clip. So good from Daniel Orlov, even better from Nico Pantola as Daniel Orlov approaches the hairpin at turn 9 now. Tight against the wall on the entry. Gets the entry a bit wrong and just clips the wall at the apex and then had to square off the exit. Lots of wheel spin and looking a little bit ragged through the final corner too. Carried a little bit too much speed. Lots of lock on the steering wheel at the apex. Across to the left side of the circuit and over the line. Minute 2.40 as we watch Nico Pantola come out of the final corner. Now lots of wheel spin on the exit, but he carried plenty of speed through the apex. Nico Pantola 2 tenths better in split 2 and ends up 3 tenths better at the end of his flying lap. So Nico Pantola will advance as we watch Carlos Matioitis now on his out lap, negotiating turn 3. On his way with a big slide there, Pete, to turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned last time that he found the all-wheel drive variant that they're using at this point in the event a little tricky to handle. So a bunch of drivers in the same camp, I think. But yeah, we have in this duel, it's going to be Carlos Matioitis versus Teemu Sarkkinen.
Yeah, that's a good point to make that I had missed earlier. The all-wheel drive definitely changes how the car drives. In the past, we saw cars sliding, really flicking the rear end of the car around to get around these hairpins in the event last year. Now the power at the front of the car will want to kind of pull the front out of the corners. They won't rotate quite as well as they're getting into the power. Speaking of on the power, Carlos full song now down to the first corner. Neatly on the brakes, you can see the front of the car dive as he comes into the first corner. We saw this from him in open practice session. He takes a wider line, gradually tightening around turns 1 and 2. Looked very clean and tidy through there. On the brakes for turn 4, skating a little bit on the brakes, but Carlos Matioitis has this well under control. He is providing an onboard for us today. Very nice shot inside the cockpit from him. You can see just how little he's turning the steering wheel. Oh, until I cursed him with that. The rear brake snatching a little bit. I think he has the bias a little bit too far rearward, so I had to catch a slide there. Still got it neatly down to the apex in the corner as he approaches turn 9 now. Hard on the brakes, nice drift into and around the corner, tight to the apex. Very nicely done. That looked clean indeed from Carlos Matioitis. A little bit conservative into the final corner, squares off the entry a little bit to straighten out the exit, a little bit wide to the apex, but looked pretty clean. Carlos Matioitis across the line, blistering fast split 1 and split 2 times. A little bit ragged in the final sector, but still comes across minute 2.17. Teemu Sarkkinen looked brilliant off the final corner as he comes across the line now. Minute 2.86, so it looked really clean coming out of the final sector. Unfortunately, not enough to dispatch Carlos Matioitis, who will advance to the second round of duels as we watch Gabber, the final boss, on his outlap through turns 4 and 5 now.
Yeah, let's see what he can manage. He had his work cut out for him in the main qualifying session, pipped at the last minute by Imran Azar. And, well, he's not going to meet Imran on this heat. It's going to be Gabber versus... who's he racing in this one? It's Gerard Fornells, I think.
Yes, yes, I believe. No, Fornells has already been.
Oh, Agostino,
yeah, Agostino, Silva Agostino.
Of course. All right. Let's get those graphics up for you.
So what Gabber does so well, and you can see this even on his outlap, is he is so good at getting into the power. No wheel spin at all, no visible tire tracks. Gabber knows the absolute threshold of grip. getting into the power. He is so early into the power. He is so smooth. He feels how well he can feed in the power and maximize the acceleration of the car. Very clean through turns 1, 2, and 3. A little bit wide there on the exit of turn 3. Just misses the wall with the rear of the car. Got it to rotate nicely, but that will cost him a tenth or two. Clean through turn 5 as he approaches turn 6, smoothly across the circuit here. He'll jump on the brakes between the 50 and the 100, front of the car diving. Good rotation, too much rotation, but he does get the car straightened out at the apex. That'll cost him a little bit, but it shouldn't compromise him too badly. Nice and smooth here through turn 7. Rear of the car trying to get away from him a little bit. See how well he does in turn 9. Front of the car diving visibly on Gabber's car. Wonder if he has a slightly softer suspension than everyone else. Oh no, Pete! Gabber, I was just saying how good he is in the power. A little bit eager there on the throttle and goes front end into the wall.
Yeah, that was some network issue that he's facing, I think. Oh, he's back. He is back.
Oh, he's back. Oh, he's crossed. Oh,
Ooh.
okay. Whew. He's crossed the line at minute 1.92. The stream smooths out some of the visible effects of lag. It looked perfectly like he had gotten too eagerly into the power and just drove the car into the wall. That was a lag. Pardon my excitement there. Gabber reappears, begins sending packets in with enough time to spare before he was disconnected from the server. Wins the duel, minute 1.92. Nowhere near his open qualifying time or his fastest in open practice. He was a full second quicker than this in free practice earlier. Dispatches Silva Agostinho. And now we prepare for the next round of duels. It'll be between Gabber and Carlos Macioides, and then Nico Pantola and Imran Azar.
Yes, indeed. That was pretty quick fire, pretty rapid stuff from everybody involved as we get the session restarted and ready for the semi-finals. So the first semi-final duel coming up in just a moment's time will be between, if I'm not mistaken, Imran Azar and Nico Pantola.
Yep, called out the 15 and the 87. You're
And
correct.
we've got rain.
Light rain. Yeah, light rain has
now.
begun. Track condition is still dry.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if this goes to rain during the second duel, it will complicate things for the two drivers in the second duel, Carlos Macioides and Gabber. We'll see who is better in the rain. In free practice, I watched Carlos Macioides turning laps on the air quotes rain tire. It looked a miserable handful, but he was managing it pretty well. Cars out on circuit now. Imran Azar coming down the back straight, with Nico Pantola now coming through turn 4. So we'll pick up Imran Azar in just a moment as he's coming through turns 7 and 8. Now here he is turning in for turn 7. Imran had a bit of a scare in the first duel. He will need to gather his thoughts, compose himself, perhaps back off ever so slightly in this second duel. Make sure he sets a great qualifying time and avoids any mistakes.
Yeah, we're into the semi-finals, well and truly, as Azar winds up his E-Challenger EVO all-wheel drive over start-finish, and let's see if he can better Nico Pantola. Of course, we're not going to find out who's got the overall pole until after the next semi-final and the final. Azar has all of the momentum so far in this evening's event. 2/10 faster than Gabber in the overall qualifying at the beginning, and a very, very fast first sector time. Look at that, 21.2, fastest that we've seen this evening in the duels so far. Oh, but wide into the wall.
Yeah, blistering fast split one time, but unfortunately another mistake into the wall. Nico Pantola a couple tenths behind in split 1, but he is clean in the background into turn 6. Nico Pantola managing the exit of that corner very well, just clips the wall. As we watch Imran Azar coming into turn 10 now. Nico Pantola negotiating turn 8. Imran Azar is coming out of the final corner, neatly onto the power. Rear just trying to squiggle away from him across the line. Imran Azar, great split 2 time despite his mistake. Minute 1.61. Nico Pantola could just come away with this. A power slide out of the final corner. That's going to cost him some time. Nico Pantola was well off in split 2. Is it enough, though, in the final sector? No, cannot unseat Imran Azar. Imran Azar will advance to the final duel. Nico Pantola unable to better his Sidus teammate, though I believe Nico Mtola driving for Pacifictech and not for Sidus in this series, as we watch Gabber come through turns 2 and 3 on his outlap, his semifinal outlap. Yeah, the times we're seeing, Pete, nowhere near what we saw they're capable of doing in open practice or even in the open qualifying session. Lots of mistakes from drivers who do not often make them.
No, you're right, but that's the nature of this new car. They're not 100% used to it yet. The all-wheel drive is a very, very different machine to what we've seen in previous seasons, and yeah, it's just a new challenge for everybody. As Gabber then is following, I think, Motoduritas through this session. Yes, he is. As we go over start. Oh no, yeah, he's down into turn 1. It's very deep into turn 1 for Motoduritas as he starts his flying lap.
Yeah, that didn't look to be the quickest line. I don't know that it will compromise him too badly because it set him up to carry more speed into turn 2. So I think it will cost him slightly. Shouldn't be too bad as we wait for him to cross the first split line now. 21.62 is not terribly slow, 4/10 off what Imran Azar did. Front of the car diving as he turns in for turn 6 now. Very clean entry and exit. Nice on the power, no wheel spin at all. Into turn 7, very smooth, avoids the wall, rear of the car rotating nicely as he comes through the kink here. Front of the car diving down to the ground, wing scraping the pavement as he comes through turn 9. Very clean for Carlos Macioida, squares the exit slightly. Still looks to be a very good exit. Now, as long as he can get turn 10 right, slightly late apex, but brilliantly done on the power. The car just skating away from him on exit, but nice application of the throttle. Carlos Macioidis comes through to set a minute 2.48. He lost a lot of time, but not visibly. He looked really clean. Gabber well ahead of him through split 2 and across the line now. Gabber does a minute 1.88, still nowhere near his practice times, but well ahead of Carlos Macioidis in the second of the semifinal duels. Gabber and Imran Azar, as we guessed they might earlier on in the broadcast, will meet one another in the dual final in just a moment's time.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation of those results on the screen for you just as soon as we can, as the track is declared wet for our final. So not only have they got to drive the all-wheel drive car in the fastest of the duels that we have, they've got to use different tires.
Different tires that afford no grip. It is a remarkably good simulation of driving in the wet. Really, the only thing that's missing is the difference in grip of a wet surface, rather water on a rubbery surface. But these tires they're just dreadful to drive on. There's no grip at all whatsoever. So this will be a great challenge for Imran Azar and Gabber. Both of them leaving the pits now. Imran Azar is in pit lane. I believe he was called out first, 15 before 25. That is, in fact, the case. We can see the camera, Imran Azar peeking over the wall there. Now overhead, brilliant helicopter shot. Amazing cameras once again from Mo as Imran Azar loops the car into the first corner. Reverse, pretend like nothing happened. Unfortunately, we can see everything with our eyes in the sky. This duel on a wet circuit, Pete, will be all about just being conservative, being delicate with the car, carrying as much speed and using as much of the grip as they dare to try to maximize these miserably bad tires.
Yeah, well, Imran taken a little bit by surprise into turn 1. So they'll have to be very careful and very attentive on their outlaps here as Gabber tries to get some heat into his road tyres. And Azar's going to loop it again. And it's going to be right in front of Gabber. And they're probably going to change order. Yeah, they are. So Gabber is going to go first.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rule that says Gabber has to stay ahead. Now he will unfortunately not be able to put... Oh, well, Gabber, yeah, there we see Gabber just sliding the car as much as he can. Full opposite lock, just dragging those tires as much as he possibly can. Wide line out of the final corner, putting down some stripes as he gets on the power. Looks nice and clean in the throttle as he comes across the line. We'll see how well he gets the car stopped for the first corner.
Oh, excuse you.
Yeah, pardon me, Pete, sorry. Right. nicely done through the first complex of corners, actually. In turn 3, just horribly slow. It feels awful to have all of the grip taken away, and the car just doesn't want to grip around the corner. Gabber really rallying around these kinks and bends. Very clean through the first sector so far, 24.07, well off the pace of the earlier duels in the open qualifying session. But though it looked quite a handful on his warm-up lap, he is handling this very well through the first half of the lap into the wall there. In the background, Imran Azar only 1/10 off through the first split as we watch Gabber approach turn 9.
Yeah, 46.5 for Gabber and a 46.05 for Imran Azar. Half a second up in the second sector. And yeah, the momentum has swung back to Imran Azar after his somewhat problematic outlap. Let's see what Gabber can manage. Good final sector. It looked very, very, very nice. Over start finish. And yeah, it's a slower lap time, but we expected that from the road tyres. A 109.72. But what's Azar going to do? A 108.71. Over a second faster. Imran Azar takes overall pole in qualifying.
Yeah, hats off to him. He just conserved the car, maximized the grip, clearly didn't take any unnecessary risks, and was able to get around in treacherous conditions. A full second ahead of Gabber is no small feat. Very impressive performance from Imran Azar, who will take pole position for the sprint race from Gabber, and we'll review the rest of the order in just a moment.
Yeah, we will indeed. But there you go, confirmation of your duels qualifying. And yeah, Azar will lead Gabber, that's for sure, as we head into the first race, the sprint race, which is going to be exciting with the wet tires. Everybody else hasn't had any testing now on those tires. It's just Gabber and Imran with the advantage.
Yeah, that's a brief run on those wet tires will give them a huge advantage coming into the race if the race begins wet. They've had a couple laps of reconnaissance to understand just how poor the grip is and that recent knowledge going into the events. So we'll wait to see if the rain persists for the beginning of the sprint race. Once again, Imran Azar wins the duels ahead of Gabber, and we will wait just a moment to sort out the rest of the top 8 before we set the rest of the grid down to positions 11 in just a moment.
Yes, we will. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce. I think he's ready. Zdeněk Cagaš to the commentary box. I think he's going to be here in a second, and he's going to join Travis for the first race. So yeah, Travis, you're going to have. Zdeněk was fantastic last time out. He was brought in at the last minute to cover for yourself, I think, actually in the end, and yeah, he did a marvelous job. So looking forward to having Zdeněk back in the box.
Yeah, and I appreciate his effort immensely. Still disappointed that I was unable to join the first round. I was terribly ill. There's an awful bug going around America. But back today, thrilled to share the box with you, Pete and Zdeněk. We'll wait for him to pop in and say hello as he's getting ready in the background. And I think while we're waiting for him and while we're waiting to get the grid order set, we'll take a brief break. Welcome back, everybody, to round 2 of the 2025 season of the MRC's E-Challenge. MRC E-Challenge. That's a mouthful. In the booth with Peter, Zdeněk Cagaš has joined us in the background. Welcome, Zdeněk.
Hello, Travis, and hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever we are stationed from our rainy Berlin.
Yeah, now that you're in the booth and we can hear one another, we had to sort some audio difficulties out in the background, but we've got it all figured out now. Now that we're hearing one another, I will thank you once again for filling in last week and joining us in the booth again today. I was unable to make it. Was delighted to hear your voice during the race, and thrilled to share the booth with you again today.
Well, thank you. I'm also happy, but I will be happier once Tom is in his place.
Well, so far you're doing a better job than Tom this year, who hasn't showed at all. I hope you're watching, Tom. Eat your heart out. Zdeněk is slowly replacing you in my heart and my mind. Let's get away from the shade and back to the race. The grid is being set in the background. Imran Azar will start the race alongside Gabber, Carlos Macioidas third, Nico Pantola in fourth, Daniel Orlov sixth. Daniel Orlov in. I've gotten this all mixed up. Daniel Orlov fifth, Timu Sarkinen sixth. There we go. Silva Agostinho seventh, ahead of Fornales in eighth. Cyril Bisset ninth, Ronan Krompush 10th, and Stephen Martin will start in 11th. There you can see on the screen this E-Prix Circuit, the Berlin E-Prix Circuit, inspired by the real track. These layouts are spectacular, gentlemen. They are so close to the real thing. The placement of the barriers, the layout of the circuit, where the boost zone is, just all of the finest contours of the track, and then especially the circuit cameras. This is a brilliant recreation of the real thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Michael's put a lot of effort over the seasons into all these layouts. I think he's still working on Sao Paulo, so I wish him luck with finishing that off. But yeah, Berlin's brilliant, and Chris has done a fantastic job of matching the real-life camera locations as well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the cars in action in all-wheel drive with rain tyres for a 15-lap sprint race with one attack mode. It's going to be interesting.
Yes, it will. 15-lap sprint race, as Pete said. And then following that, a 33-lap feature race, about half of a Grand Prix distance. So not a short race by any stretch. Big challenge for these drivers, especially with the top 10 on the grid reversed. That will leave one unfortunate finisher to start 11th. After finishing 11th, everybody else will be reversed, 10th for first, and so on down the order.
Indeed, but I would like to remind the previous race, which was pretty action-packed, especially the feature one. So I'm really looking forward to what we will see today.
Yeah, it was full of action last week. Travis, you missed out on a treat, but I hope you managed to get a look at the broadcast from last week at some point, because it really was a good one. I think we're getting ready to go. So Travis, you're going to do the grid walk today.
I am indeed waiting for one more driver to ready up in the background, and then Stuart Baker to make it official. Before we cut to the circuit, Nico Pantola is presumably finishing a glass of water or on his way back from the toilet, waiting for him to ready up. Typical Nico. We'll chat with him after the race. While we're waiting for him, we'll have another look at these cars. There is an all-wheel drive variant and a rear-wheel drive variant. All-wheel drive used in qualifying and the sprint. Rear-wheel drive used in the feature race. The better part of 500 horsepower available for these cars, and obviously a little bit of extra boost when they drive through the attack zone in turn 6. Plenty of action from very cool cars.
Indeed, as we already mentioned, it will be all-wheel drive for the sprint race, but it will be light rain with wet tires, so it will be a bit more difficult for the drivers to handle.
Yes, indeed. The benefit of all-wheel drive, but as we talked about earlier, no grip afforded by these tires. As we see the lights coming up in the background now, we will wait for the grid presentation to start in just a moment. There on the camera, we're looking at Imran Azar on the right side of the screen, Gabber just behind. There we go. And now looking to Imran Nazar, starting on pole position, finished a full second clear in the final duel ahead of Gabber there on the left. Carlos Montioitis, the next car in red and white, driving for Yes Motorsport, starting third. Behind him for Pacifictech, normally a Sidus driver, Nico Pantola, in fourth. Daniel Orlov in the black and blue machine, starting in fifth position. Side and slightly behind him, Teemu Sarkkinen in the number 69. Silva Agostinho there in seventh position. Behind him, the empty grid slot of Cyril Basset. We'll see if he joins or if he ends up starting from pit lane. There we can see, sorry, it was Fornieles missing. Here, Cyril Basset alongside Roni Kronpush in the green machine. Apologies for my mistake there. And on the final row of the grid, the number 67 of Stephen Martin, ahead of the course cars, who hopefully will not have any work to do on this opening lap. Now looking once again to the front of the grid, Imran Nazar will lead them away when the lights come up. Waiting for the start signal now. Everyone reminded that their motors need to be on. Fornieles starting from pit lane, track still wet, so this is a wet start. Imran Nazar, Gabber going to lead these cars away as the lights come up now. 5-second signal from Jonathan Palmer in the background. 2, 3, 4, 5 lights up as we wait for them to be extinguished. Long hold now. Cars are away. Lights out. Imran Nazar, great start despite the lack of grip. Gabber jumps in behind. Carlos Montioitis there slotting into third position. Gabber going way wide on the outside. Carlos Montioitis will be able to tuck in second position, though he has Gabber ever so slightly on the inside. Gabber just able to stick a nose in. Will reclaim that second position after a dreadful wide start. Very nicely done around the outside. Carlos Montioitis not giving up, now has the outside of the kink. Oh, Gabber just clipped him, put him in the wall, shouldn't damage the cars too badly. Imran Nazar nicely away, everyone cleanly through turns 5, coming up to 6 now. Getting into single file, we see one car inside Roni Kronpush there. That might be Stephen Martin. No, it's Teemu Sarkkinen inside Stephen Martin. And now single file as we approach turn 9. Imran Nazar from Gabber ahead of Carlos Montioitis. Great start by everybody despite the treacherous conditions.
Well, I wonder, while we are seeing Imran Nazar leading the field away towards the end of the first lap, the wet could possibly go away a little bit. We will see pit stops for dry tires during this race.
Well, if it dries up, we will. At the moment, it looks like the heavy rain is still upon us. And yeah, in fact, no, it's down to light rain now, isn't it? Yeah, we're down to light rain. So yeah, we may see the track dry up, or it could get heavier again. We don't know.
Yes.
I, for one, am pulling for heavier. We'll see.
Well, they don't change their tires again, but the track state is wet. The track state is the important thing. If the track state is declared dry, then the drivers are allowed to come back into the pit lane to change back onto slick tires. But for now, they have to remain on the wets.
And while we're talking about wet tires as they drive by the attack zone, let's remind everybody the rules about the attack zone in the wet.
Yeah, exactly. The attack zone will not be activated until we get a dry track. So, yeah, we will wait and see if that will happen.
We will indeed. And only one use during the sprint race anyway may no longer be required at all because it has been declared a wet race. So we'll check on the rule about whether it will be enabled and required if the track goes dry. But as it is now, drivers not compelled to go through there at all. Attack mode is enabled.
Yeah, they don't have to do it though.
But they don't have to do it owing to the track being wet. Gabber sticking with Imran Nazar as they come through turns 2 and 3 now. Approaching turn 4. Carlos Montioitis falling back slightly has Nico Pantola all over the rear of his car, filling his mirrors. Nico going well from 4th position on the grid. The top 4 positions unchanged from the start. Daniel Orlov has dropped 1 position. Cyril Basset up 1. Daniel Orlov has now given up another position to Silva Agostinho, but the top 4 once again running as they did as they finished qualifying. As we're on board with Carlos Montioitis. Now, a little bit of opposite lock as the rear of the car tries to get away. Great shot from Carlos Montioitis. We thank him once again for giving us a nice onboard picture to put in the picture-in-picture box along with our race feed.
Indeed, Karol is doing a good job so far, holding the third place ahead of Nico Puntola. If we could, oh yeah, I was about to point this out because from 6th to 9th place we have this nice little scrap of 4 cars fighting it out. Ronnie Kronpusch, Agostino, Steven Martin, Teemu Sarkkinen, and Ronnie Kronpusch. All almost side by side all the time. I think Agostino it was who did attack mode during the final turn of the previous lap, so he should have some extra power. Yes, it is him. Still 3 minutes left of his attack mode, so he wants to get ahead of this pack and into the clean air.
Yeah, and 3 minutes of attack mode, good for nearly 3 full laps. You can see using the extra power there a little bit early on the break, still able to get side by side with Ronnie Kronpusch, neatly through, very nicely executed there by Silva Agostino. The extra power carrying him past through easily and now accelerating away from Ronnie Kronpusch, snaking away behind him. Rear of the car just trying to get away from him. Poor Daniel Orlov has had a mare of a race so far, started in 5th position and tumbling down the order.
Yeah, and don't forget that Agostino had absolutely zero practice, really, on the wet tyres before the start of this session, and he's the first through the wall. He's the first to take the attack boost with those wet tyres, so fair play.
Still, as far as I have seen throughout the field, I think a lot of people were struggling with breaking into the tight turns on the wet tires. But as we see now, there's no rain, so the track should be getting dry, and we might see pit stops for slick tires during this race.
Yeah, still declared wet at the moment, not raining as Zdeněk just said, but yeah, I agree. Hopefully the track, I would like to see more rain. I think it adds an additional dimension to this. However, the strategy changes, the strategy calls, going from wet to dry or dry to wet do shake up the race, add a bit of excitement and a bit of intrigue. So, and there's also the element of luck, timing it just right so that you can get in as early or as late as you possibly can to make that change. We will wait to see what happens with track conditions as we look at this great camera. I believe that's through turn 9, looking at Daniel Orlov, who is approaching turn 10 now. All wide on the entry, rear of the car, trying to get to the front, but neatly managed by Daniel Orlov. Ronnie Kronpusch has disappeared into the distance ahead of Daniel Orlov.
Yeah, Daniel probably can't keep up really on these wet tires. Hopefully, he will be up to pace in the second race or on slicks for that matter. But right now we have this group of 3 cars now, minus one car. Still, this group is catching up to Teemu Sarkkinen, so it might be 4 cars again soon.
Yeah, Agostino only has 35 seconds left of that attack boost, so he's not got long to get sort of free overtake, and now he's on the home straight. This is perfect timing. He will be in a bit, but yeah, he's not got long left to use that.
I'm amused. Very late dive. Yeah, brilliantly read by Teemu Sarkkinen there to not be taken out. Teemu Sarkkinen turning in late, letting Silva Agostino go sailing by and retains that position. I liked the shot over the halo. The sticker on Silva Agostino's halo was brilliant. If we could see it again quickly. A sentiment that I appreciate, but I'm going to say is incompatible with the type of machinery he's driving today. Doesn't make much sense in an electric car, but I do find this amusing. Silva Agostino still right there trying to stick a nose in. He just gets into the rear of Teemu Sarkkinen.
Yeah, there was I don't know what happened if Silva was too fast or if Teemu was too slow, but nevertheless they collided. But all's good for now.
Yeah, while we're talking about Silva Agostino, as Pete said, limited practice for this event. He's handling the car quite well despite a pretty scruffy start. We know Silva Agostino more from GT2 Challenge, from driving GT2 cars, and he is quite handy in GT2. So not really surprising to me that he's able to get up to speed quickly in these cars. Slightly different discipline, but he is a very talented driver.
Yeah, another interesting sticker on the Halo from Ronnie. As we switch to the lead battle, we were talking about these stickers in the previous race. I have noticed one new one from Nico Puntola, who has also interesting one, which says "Electricity is for appliances."
That's good too. I appreciate Gabbers the shout out, the advertisement for 6% broadcast. There we go. Let's just look at all of the halos during the sprint race as the drivers get strung out. Electricity, not just for appliances, unless you consider an electric racing car also a racing appliance. As we look back from Imran Azar off the diffuser, the gap steady to Gabber, hanging around just inside 1 second. They are driving away from Carlos Macioides in third. Halfway through this race now, Carlos Macioides, as I said, in third, from Nico Pantola fourth, Cyril Basset running in fifth. Timo Sarkinen slowly getting away from Silva Agostino despite that dive a lap ago. In seventh, Ronnie Kronpusch rounding out the eighth position. Daniel Orlov in ninth, Stephen Martin in 10th, and Fornieles well back in 11th position. As we watch Imran Azar come through to start lap 9, neatly on the brakes. Track is still wet, still not raining. If we do go dry, it will be late in this race. Could be an interesting factor.
Here comes Ronnie on the inside of Agostino over start finish. He's going to go for the move, and it's gone quite deep, but well, power slides through there and just about makes his car wide enough to stay in the lead.
That was beautifully executed.
Lovely.
That is as late as you can go on the brakes and still stop the car.
Team boss showing us why he's the boss.
Ooh, though he's gone wide on the exit of 5, nearly clipped the wall there, but he is just going to stay ahead of Agostino. We'll see if Agostino's feeling brave on the brakes again. Ronnie Kronpusch we know to be, I think, a slightly more conservative driver. Silvio Agostino obviously feeling a bit brave today. So we'll keep checking on that battle as we look at Gabber, who is closed slightly, now down to a 7/10 gap between the leader Imran Azar and Gabber as they cross the line to begin lap 10.
Yeah. Everyone apart from 3 drivers saving the attack mode for later. I wonder if Gabor is waiting as well for the dry track, because I would expect him to be faster on slicks. Then he could give Imran a little bit more trouble. Although he's still right behind him, I think slick tire is where he shines more.
I don't think Gabber's going to want. I don't think he's going to take the boost until Azar takes it. He's not going to want to take it before Azar, is he? I mean, he's currently got the fastest lap. He's got the advantage at the moment on pace. So I think he's going to just follow what Azar does.
Yeah, I think if the track goes dry, Gabber is in a favorable position here where he can react to what Imran does. If Imran decides to go around, or heaven forbid they just happen to split the wet commit line and Imran Azar goes around, Gabber's in the position here to make a decision in reaction. Whereas Imran Azar, managing this in his mirrors, it is somewhat more challenging for him, I think.
We've got a retirement from Gerard Fornelez. He has removed himself from the action, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully we get him back. Or I don't think. Hopefully we get him back for race 2. I wonder what's going on with him.
Yeah, that would be a shame. I see the grid has thinned a lot from the Mexico Grand Prix, but it is to be expected during these seasons in a sim racing. But still, it's a big shame that there is not a bigger field currently, as Gabor hits the inside of this turn a little bit.
Dry track.
Yeah, as we go dry. So
well, this is interesting. Not everybody. I think we're gonna see some people staying out. There's only 4 laps left.
Yeah, well ahead of the wet commit line, so they could come in for dries if they want to. Plenty of information there. As we see the leaders, here we go, duck for pit lane.
They've weighed it up in their heads. They've weighed up that they think it's faster to go around the last 4 laps on slick tires. Is anybody gonna stay out? I wonder. Nico's in. Cyril Basset's coming in.
Carlos is in.
Sarkinen in.
Looks like it's not worth the risk. Still.
Agostino's committed. Interesting.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
He's far enough behind. I don't know if this will work out for him. Dries are about 6 to 7 seconds per lap quicker, so we'll have to see how big his gap is. Silva Agostino looks like Silva Agostino still behind Imran Azar. So
Yeah.
Silva Agostino just making up some positions. He's not able to claim the lead of the race, but he could finish with a podium.
Yeah, but as far as I have checked, the fastest lap of Gabor was 19 seconds faster than this one when he pitted. So 19 seconds, 20 seconds, I would say, would be the benchmark for Silva Agostino. As Gabor goes for the boost, for the attack mode.
That shot confused me a little bit. It's so low down, I thought he had just missed the corner, but then he swooped through the attack boost. So that will cost him, looks to be about a second or so on track, but lots more power that he can use to try to catch Imran Azar. I would expect, guys, Imran to come through the attack boost on the next lap.
It will be interesting, as Azar won't be able to use the full 4 minutes. That's a good information. But also Gabor is catching up as we speak because he has a faster car, and Azar goes wide in turn 1. And he will have to take the attack mode as well, which will cost him some extra time. So Gabor is, in my opinion, in an advantage right now.
Agostino's pitted.
He has, yeah. I think he's had enough of those wet tires into the pits. That puts Carlos Macioidis back into the podium position. As we see Imran Azar skip the attack boost. I guess he must feel like he can keep Gabor behind him despite the extra power.
Agostino rejoins just ahead of Roni again, so it didn't really hurt him that much. Roni wasn't really that effective on his outlap.
No, that helped him. Silva Agostino was behind Roni Kronbusch
there we go.
before the track went dry, so that's netted him 1 position.
Roni has the boost. Agostino's already used it, so let's see. Oh dear. Roni's gone very, very deep. No. Almost wanted to go through the attack boost again.
Attack mode activation is disabled now, as we heard from Rico, and I see the lap times. Imran Azar 1:03.32, Gabor 1:02.09, and he's already on Azar's back. Yeah, he's gonna attack sometime soon, and it's gonna be right now. I think he's going for it from the outside, but is he ahead? Is he ahead enough? Not yet. Not yet. But he has a fast line, outside line through this turn, and this is going to be nice. Oh, there's contact, there's slight contact, but they make it through side by side, still side by side, into the next hairpin. But Gabor goes for the inside, and he's through. I think this is all settled right now. What do you think?
I mean, is that an own goal? Is it an own goal then for Azar for not taking the boost?
I think so.
Well, I mean, there was a bit of confusion at the beginning of the race as to whether they were allowed to take it. It's just a case of, making sure you're up to date with the rules, I guess. And also the late deactivation as well. 2 laps to go. The boost is disabled. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, spirited defense there by Imran. Looked like he might have been able to hold that position. They gave us brilliant side-by-side racing for the better part of half a lap. But I agree. I think an own goal by Imran. On the other hand, we talked about how it was advantage Gabor. He could react to what Imran did. So he saw how much time he had left in the race. Presumably, he read the rules. Gabor is well known for exploiting every advantage he can find. I think he just took it at the right moment to where they came by the next lap. Imran could not take it, and off he goes.
So yeah, as I expected, late drama thanks to the drying track and switch to slick tires. Gabor exploits it very well and takes the final turn, goes onto the finish straight, and will take the win with 13% of battery left in this race. Very well done.
Very well done indeed. Gabor across the line from Imran Azar in second position, finishes 1.5 seconds behind. Carlos Macioidis will round out the podium. A regular podium finisher now. Well done to Carlos as we wait for the 4th place finisher to come across the line. Oh, in the background, we just switched to Roni Kronbusch, who's gotten by Silva Agostino again. Cyril Bisset crosses the line in 4th position from Nico Pantola. So Nico Pantola drops a position. We missed that happening. We didn't talk much about Nico in qualifying. We've missed him in the race once again. Cyril Bisset 4th, Nico Pantola 5th. Teemu Särkinen finishes in 6th. Roni Kronbusch crosses the line just ahead of Silva Agostino. A drag race to the finish line. Stephen Martin crosses now to round out the order. Stephen Martin will start on pole position in the feature race, guys.
Yeah, it was interesting. We almost didn't have a 10th driver. We got a retirement, obviously, during the race. Gerard Fornelez retiring. But there is your podium in all its glory of the sprint race. You've got in the middle there um, Gabagir, who made perfect use of that attack boost at the end of the race there. I'm sure Azar will be a bit frustrated about that.
Yeah, I think he will indeed. And hearing that he might get a penalty for not using the attack boost when he apparently shouldn't have. So we we obviously need to brush up on the rules ourselves. So we'll between sprint and feature race here, we will consult the rule book and the officials to make sure that we have a complete understanding ourselves. But as it is right now, there you can see the finishing order. Gabber from Imran Azar, Carlos Machiotis rounding out the podium. Cars 15, 34, 87 under investigation, attack boost under use. So that is Imran Azar affected in the 34, Carlos Machiotis. So we may see those two demoted off the podium. That would elevate Cyril Basset and not Nico Pantola, who's the 87 machine. So we could see we will have to consult the officials in the background. So could see Timu Sarkinen elevated to the podium. Not sure he actually wants that. That would demote him on the grid for the feature race. But we have some we have some research to do in the background. We will get a clearer picture of what this means for the feature race while we get ready for that in the background. One thing you
Whoa.
mentioned just a moment ago, Zdeněk, while we were rounding out the race, or while you were calling the end of the race, was energy usage. Gabber finished the race with about 15% energy remaining. Obviously, they have plenty, especially in wet conditions when they're using slightly less power to get around the circuit. But energy conservation features prominently in the feature race, and Imran Azar, well known to be the master of maximizing the energy in his car.
Well, on the screen, we have the final results, which we should wander through before we get ready for that second race that Travis is mentioning. It's Gabber on the top step alongside Azar, Motijuitis there, Cyril Basset, Nico Pantola, Sarkinen, Orlov, Krompush, Agostino, and Stephen Martin, your 10 finishers, and Gerard Fornelez there with an unfortunate DNF. But yes, Travis, 15% remaining after 15 laps. They've got 33 laps to do in the feature race, and it's probably going to be dry.
Well, so far it looks to be dry. No rain, dry track on the display in Live for Speed. Again, waiting to see what the impact of the rules will be on the starting grid for the feature race. But yes, energy conservation, the story of the feature race in every event. And last year at this race, the Berlin E-Prix round, um, the energy conservation. I keep wanting to say conversation. We're having a conversation about conservation. Featured so prominently and added so much excitement to the event. Imran Azar used it brilliantly. Was able to take the top step in both the sprint and the feature. But behind him, Carlos Machiotis was able to snatch a podium finish because drivers ahead of him, Nico Pantola, if I recall correctly, ended up just shy on power and had to so aggressively conserve late in the race. They didn't maximize, they didn't optimize earlier on in the running, and that elevated Carlos Machiotis to a brilliant round for him. Will we see that again today? I wonder. I dare say that Nico Pantola has probably learned his lessons, but it adds so much to the excitement, to the complexion of this event.
Yeah, we've got some provisional penalties that have been handed out to the drivers that didn't take the attack boost. I feel like we deserve that penalty in the commentary box as well, Travis, to be honest.
I would agree with that. So Imran Azar, Carlos Machiotis will be assessed a 21-second post-race penalty. Sorry, a 10-second stop-go penalty, which becomes a 21-second post-race penalty. Obviously, they can't take that stop-go now. So that will put Imran Azar, if we add 21 seconds to his time, we'll put him down to 6th position. But he'll be ahead of Nico Pantola. That will elevate Cyril Bisset to second position, and then Teemu Sarkkinen to third. So Imran Azar, Carlos Macioides, Nico Pantola down the order. Don't know exactly what positions they will be in yet, but that credits Cyril Bisset, Teemu Sarkkinen once again with second and third place finishes. So valuable points for them. Further down the order on the starting grid for the feature race, but this will, I think, make for a more exciting, a more thrilling conclusion to the second round of this E-Challenge series, with Carlos Macioides and Nico Pantola, Imran Azar having to navigate traffic to try to undo the harm they have done to their finishing positions in the sprint.
Yeah, they've been handed 21 second equivalent penalties, so you can sort of work it out that Azar is going to drop down to, well, in the results he'll drop down to behind Nico Pantola, so he should be down to 5th, but obviously everyone else has to shuffle around him as well. We have a top 10 reversal, so actually Azar probably won't be that upset. He'll start higher up for the next race. Losing points, of course, in the sprint, but he'll start further towards the front, and Gabber is going to be last. He's going to be 10th on the grid, pretty much.
Yeah, he'll be 10th on the grid. Nico Pantola will start second, so 21 seconds added to his time puts him just ahead, 1 second ahead of Stephen Martin. So it will be Nico Pantola alongside Stephen Martin, and then we have some work to do to work out where Carlos and Imran end up. That puts Imran 14 seconds, so 5th, Carlos down just between Teemu Sarkkinen and Daniel Orlov. So a big shakeup of the order late. And we still wait for the official confirmation in the background, but I think we've worked it out pretty well. Stephen Martin alongside Nico Pantola for the front row of the feature race. I think we can take a break for just a moment while we wait for everybody to get the grid set in the background, get the order finally sorted for the start of the feature race, and prepare to line up the cars for a 33 lap feature. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, faithful sim broadcast viewers, to round 2 of the 2025 season of MRC's E-Challenge. Today at the Berlin E-Prix Circuit, getting ready for the feature race in the background. Today is, once again, round 2 at the Berlin E-Prix Circuit. 3 more from this one, Portland in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks after that at the New York E-Prix Circuit. And the new, under construction, new to MRC E-Challenge, Sao Paulo E-Prix Circuit on April 6th. Getting the grid set in the background, Gerard Fornieles has rejoined, so he will take the 11th position on the grid. Steven Martin will start pole position alongside Nico Patola after the grid reversal and a spate of penalties, which I believe we have finally worked out, Pete.
I don't know if we've already read down the order, but I guess we can confirm the full grid order for race 2. Steven Martin is probably going to be a bit of a panicker on the front row alongside Nico Pantola. Then we've got Silver Agostino and Roni Krompush on the second row. Daniel Orlov and Carlos Matiotis on row 3, with Sarkinen and Azar on row 4, and Cyril Basset and Gabba on the 5th row. And Gerard Fornelez there after his DNF will start in P11 for the feature. Now, we talked about it at the end of the sprint, Travis, but I'm really worried about the energy consumption. There's going to be a lot of it. A lot of saving needs to happen during this race, especially if it stays dry. Yeah,
they will have to save so much energy. And once again, the master of doing so, Imran Azar, he swept this event last year, owing in part to his masterful conservation of energy. I've nearly done it again. Imran Azar, very, very good. Some other drivers less good at it. Carlos Matiotis shined last year with his energy management. Some drivers beginning to ready up in the background. So while we're getting ready to finally set the grid and to kick off the feature race, perhaps Zdeněk, I'll invite you to explain what had confused us so much about the attack mode rules in the sprint.
There has been some confusion, as you said, about when is it allowed to take the attack mode and whether you have to take the attack mode. Well, it turns out 2 laps from the end of the race, the attack mode activation is disabled, but you have to take it. So everyone who pitted and didn't take the attack boost afterwards when the track was dry basically violated the rules and got a drive-through penalty.
Well, stop-go penalty equivalent at the end of the race,
Yeah, stop-go equivalent, and
the
activation. The activation was never disabled on account of wet, so that was our mistake there. It was available the entire time. There was even a message that popped up from race control about it. So some confusion, a mistake on our part. We apologize for that, but I think we have a clear understanding now. Thanks for explaining that for us, Zdeněk.
Yeah, we will do better next time.
Yeah, the drivers.
Well, we certainly hope.
The drivers have regen now. Don't forget, because we're switching to the rear-wheel drive car. We're going to be switching to the E-Challenger EVO. And Travis, we're going to hand over to you again for the grid walk. Let's do it.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yeah, there the cars off the screen, rear-wheel drive with regeneration once again. As we look to the front of this grid, Steven Martin will be on point alongside Nico Pantola. We will drive through and see the remainder of the grid in just a moment. Steven Martin working those front wheels, making sure the steering wheel still works. It's important to have that part on the car, especially when you're in front of everyone else. So hungry to get past you. Session start. Chat disabled. Steven Martin in the pink, the fuchsia and white 67 machine, alongside, slightly behind, driver's right, left side of our screen, Nico Pantola, the number 87. Silva Agostino came to grips very quickly, up to speed in the sprint race in this machine, alongside Roni Krompush, who had a great battle with Silva Agostino during the sprint race. Behind these two on the third row of the grid, Daniel Orlov there in blue and black, alongside Carlos Matiotis, one of the recipients after Nico Pantola of a grid penalty in the sprint race. Teemu Sarkinen in the 69 there alongside Imran Azar, last recipient of a 21-second post-race penalty. On the fifth row of the grid, we will have Cyril Basset alongside sprint race winner Gabber. And on the final row of the grid, disconnected during the sprint, but able to rejoin for the feature. We're grateful for that. Gerard Fornieles in the purple and slightly lighter purple machine. Rick Rashitska in the course car in the very back. Now looking to the front of the grid once again as we wait for the lights to come up. Indication from race control coming any moment now. Track declared dry, no rain. Could have weather on the horizon. We don't know yet, but dry start for the race. 2 lights now, 3, 4, 5. We wait for these to be extinguished and for Stephen Martin to lead these drivers away into the first corner. Now, Stephen Martin takes off from Nico Pantola. Great start from Nico Pantola. Easily secure second position. No, my mistake. Silva Agostino inside, just gets tapped in the rear. That looked like Teemu Sarkkinen just behind him. May have been Carlos Macioitis. Tight squeeze there into turn 3, but Silva Agostino appears to have gotten the better of Nico Pantola. He has. Nico Pantola shuffled backward into 4th position. Silva Agostino gets turned around backward. Everyone splitting him. Brilliant driving by everyone to see him split down the middle 3 wide with Silva Agostino backwards. But Stephen Martin has vanished. Brilliant start by Stephen Martin with all of the carnage behind. That is Carlos Macioitis up into 2nd position with Roni Kronpush in 3rd. Brilliant start from all these drivers, bar Nico Pantola. Nightmare of a beginning for the feature race from Nico. And here we can see this is a Sidus machine under Nico Pantola. Now Nico Pantola gets the rear of the car away from him. Just catches it. Imran Azar charging from the back of the grid ahead of Nico. Now Teemu Sarkkinen with Gabber on the outside. Great traction from Gabber. First lap, lots of excitement, far more than we had in the sprint. Big shuffle. Stephen Martin a full second clear of Carlos Macioitis as they begin the second lap of the race.
Yeah, as you said, Stephen Martin, Carol is a very nice start. Carol is way ahead of his competitors. Imran Azar already in 4th, Gabor down in 6th, so Carol will have some breathing air. And that also depends on how fast he can get past Stephen Martin, if he manages to get past him, of course. But really good job by him.
Oh, Stephen Martin a little bit too deep into the corner there. That's turn 6 with the attack boost on the outside. Stephen Martin wide once again. I think Carlos Macioitis is going to have the measure of him within a lap. Carlos Macioitis so good. Stephen Martin, no, not a bad driver by any stretch, but I don't think quite has the pace that Carlos Macioitis does. Carlos Macioitis now right on top of him, 0.2 seconds behind with Roni Kronpush lurking in the background.
Yeah, same as we are watching Fornio, as I was about to mention, even though he retired from the first race because of his, let's say, grid problem, he should be he should have, as we see, change for a lead. Motiejuitis finally takes Steve Martin. That was faster than I expected, and he takes the lead and goes away. Already has a small gap ahead of him. Imran Azhar, who is now in 3rd place ahead of Roni Kronpush, still third in graphics, but 4th on track. Yes, that is now corrected. 6th is Nico Pantola. 6th is Gabor behind 5th Nico Pantola. And Nico Pantola takes the attack mode already. First of his 2.
Nico gives up a couple positions there to take the attack boost. Ooh, looked inside Fornieles there, who's having a brilliant start to his feature race, up to 7th from the very back after a disconnection in the sprint. Nico Pantola late on the brakes, nice and tight, very nicely done from Nico. Though he has Fornieles on the outside, has to leave him room, very politely does so, and now they will go side by side into the final corner. Brilliant start from Imran Azar. Carlos Macioitis also very well done up from the middle of the grid to lead. Now nearly 2 seconds advantage over Stephen Martin, but Imran Azar is getting very close to the front from a 5th row start in the feature.
Carol is slamming in fastest lap after fastest lap. The current one 1:05.13. And stretching his lead to more than 1 second already, I think.
Yeah, and while you were talking about that, Imran Azar already through Stephen Martin. So Carlos Macioitis has his work cut out for him now. Imran Azar, after a 21-second post-race penalty, starting on the back row, rather the 5th row of the grid, now right there in 2nd position. Wasted no time getting toward the front.
Yeah, Fornieles, I will finish my thought. Hopefully nothing will happen. He's about to make a bigger impression in this race, I think, because he's skilled driver, usually very fast, and now he has more time to show what he's made of. Now back from the back of the grid, up to 7th position so far.
Yeah, very well done by him. Great start from 11th, up 4 positions. I think I'm going to guess that he's new to the car as well. Perhaps struggled a little bit with the wet tires. Obviously had the disconnection, which did him no favors in the sprint race, but very handy so far in the feature race. Gabber is now through, ahead of Ronnie Kronpush and right behind Stephen Martin.
Yeah, he's already thinking of passing, and he does it really cleanly and really doesn't waste any time.
Yeah, that looked like, from the onboard, it looked like a late lunge until I looked up at the signboards, and I think Stephen Martin decided that was a foregone conclusion and just
Yeah.
let out of the throttle and got on with his race. Gabber will streak away into the sunset. So now Gabber up to third. He's got 3 seconds to make up on Imran Azar, who is now has closed the gap to just over 1 second from Carlos Maciotis.
Yeah, the top three in reverse on the track from the sprint race order. So yeah, now we see Orlov fighting with Cyril Bisset.
Yeah, Orlov and Cyril Bisset, who Cyril Bisset does not have attack boost. Daniel Orlov has been through the attack boost. Silva Agostinho, who had a brilliant start, was up to third in the second corner, got turned around backwards, looked like a racing incident colliding with, it may have been Nico Pantolo. It was hard to see in the crowd. But Silva Agostinho, a lot of work yet to do. A minute left on his attack boost. Oh, Carlos Maciotis through the attack boost, and that lets Imran Azar through.
Yeah, importantly, Azar doesn't have the attack boost yet, so Maciotis might be able to get through, but it is advantage Azar at this point. He can make his car as wide as possible and take time away from Carolus. They do get 2 attack boosts, and they don't want to leave it too late.
Oh,
Well, and notably, the attack boost is going to use slightly more energy. So if Imran can manage the power and keep Carolus behind him, that will put him in a very strong position for the later of the race.
Yeah, they do have the regenerative braking, and that will definitely help them in the feature race. It's not something that they get in the all-wheel drive version of this car, so the scariness of the low energy at the end of the sprint race was as a result of the fact there was no regen. And with that back, we should see around halfway through the race what the energy consumption is and where people are likely to be struggling. Last time out at Mexico City, it was not an issue for anybody, really.
Well-
People running out on the... well, did we get one non-finish?
yeah, he was like 1.5% 2 laps from the finish, I think.
Yeah. But it didn't really disrupt the top of the race. Today we may see something different as we got Carolus again trying to find a way through on Azar down into the hairpin at turn 9, but it isn't working just yet. Azar is doing a good job of making that car as wide as possible.
Well,
Carolus only ceded this position going through the attack boost. He has stuck with Imran. Imran a little bit wide out of the last corner here. I want to mention quickly just how impressed I've been with Carolus' driving. Relatively new to Live for Speed, and I think struggled a little bit in some of the early events we had on broadcast. But he's been gradually moving his way up the order, and then he really came alive in E-Challenge last season with a string of podium finishes. Carolus very handy in these cars.
Still, despite of his attack mode, he doesn't seem to gain a lot on the straight. So I think he's settled in second position for now, and we'll wait for his chance later in the race. But I will have to fix an error for you, Travis, because Carolus has been here for a long time already. I remember him from way back. So hey. We see him attacking, actually.
Yeah, he does.
Disrupted by thought.
Yeah, I'll bow to that mistake. I've confused Carolus with another more recent driver. Either way, still true. The Carlos Maciotis has, as we have watched him on our broadcasts, he has improved with time. Now leading this race, taking the position from Imran Azar with attack boost, well and truly on the merit of his own talent. Very nicely done by Carolus. Lost the lead on his trip through the attack boost and has now reclaimed it from a driver who is just so good in these cars.
I'm watching Orlov down in 10th place. He doesn't seem to like the attack boost. He wants to get rid of it as fast as possible because he's already on his second one for some reason.
Well, so some of the drivers don't like the extra horsepower. It's quite a large amount of extra horsepower that you get, an extra 51 kilowatts. So some of the drivers just won't like that much power, especially around some of the tighter corners.
That's a question we should tackle in post-race interviews. That I don't understand that at all. Who doesn't like more horsepower? That makes no sense at all.
Daniel Orlov, clearly.
Well, we'll see if he's available for a chat then. Ooh, a nice race going on right here. This is Ronan Krompusch losing a position to Gerard Fornieles, who is through. Actually, they may have traded these positions. That is Teemu Sarkkinen, who is fighting with Fornieles. They've been trading positions. Teemu on the inside, Fornieles holding the car on the outside, but a little bit eager on the throttle. Now has to tuck into the slipstream. Great battle among these three drivers right here. Fornieles drops back behind Teemu Sarkkinen. So down one position from where we saw Fornieles earlier. He was all the way up to 7th from 11th. And a nice battle going on here with Daniel Orlov now having caught up on account of this extra horsepower.
And also thanks to the action ahead of him, because it cost him surely a lot of time. Still, Forniel is already on some tire management because his right rear tire is a little bit too hot for this kind of track. I think he has been sliding a lot, and he takes the attack mode. So he will try to use it to his advantage and get these positions back.
Yeah, he just stays ahead of Daniel Orlov there. Meanwhile, lurking in the background, making steady progress, is Silva Agostinho, turned around in the second corner, making up time. He has made steady progress on the back of the running order, now just a couple seconds behind Daniel Orlov. So we should see him mixing into this fight any moment now.
Yeah, that's a good observation, and good luck to him. It will be a really good recovery from him.
It is. You can see the back of Daniel Orlov now, so he really has gained time, and still has one attack boost remaining as well. So yeah, potentially can make up a few places.
And it will be interesting because we have the 1, 2, 3 far in the distance as Imran Azar takes his attack mode, and then it's the rest of the field with small gaps, but they usually come very close together in the turns, and another car takes the attack mode, and that is Steven Martin.
Watching these cars come through turn 9 just now. Carlos Magioitis about to round turn 10 and finish the first third of the race. Lap 11 about to be completed. Carlos Magioitis leads from Imran Azar. Carlos gapping Imran. He grew that gap to about a second before Imran ceded a little bit of time going through the attack boost. Further back, another 2 seconds. Gabber behind Imran Azar ahead of Cyril Basset. Great drive so far from Cyril Basset there in 4th position from Nico Pantola. Steven Martin holding on nicely. Lost a few positions. Quicker drivers going by. Steven Martin from pole position, the feature down to 6th, ahead of Teemu Sarkkinen, who has now grown the gap slightly over Ronan Krompusch. And Fornieles has gotten through Roni while we've been talking. So Roni now has mirrors full of Daniel Orlov there in 10th position. Silva Agostinho rounding out the order. And just creeping up on Daniel Orlov there, we can see Silva Agostinho in the background still making hay, now less than a second behind Daniel Orlov.
Well, Carlos has opened up his lead to 1.6 seconds over Imran Azar, and Imran now with that attack mode activated. We'll see how effective it is. It's already been a minute and a half, and the gap hasn't really... Well, it has closed a bit, but not enough.
Yeah, he is not making rapid progress with the extra power, which tells me that I think he's probably using a little bit of extra power very strategically. So getting off the corners really well, and then rolling out of the throttle slightly to make sure he's not using too much energy. Even though they do have the regeneration, it is so easy to just go wide open and use a little bit too much, and then it becomes very challenging to manage the energy consumption later in the race.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a little throwback. Earlier this season, I took part in a race in the Ronnie's all-wheel drive series, and there was a electric car, and there were 2 races, each of them 15 laps, I think, or some 5 laps or whatever. It took some saving in the electric car, and there were drivers actually who, despite the saving, had faster laps in the race than in the qualifying. So I think the top 3, as this all settled, as we see Fornieles for some reason is in the wall. So
the front of that the front of that car looking a bit askew, a nose reminiscent of Stephen Fry. Fornieles gives away the top or the 10th position. Silva Agostinho through, and now just lurking behind Daniel Orloff, Silva Agostinho, losing ground to the leaders, a few tenths here and there, but making great progress, recovering. Now right behind Daniel Orloff. Oh, just gets into the back of Daniel Orloff. I think he expected Daniel to be in the power a little bit earlier there, so that will cost him some time trying to catch up to Roney. But Silva Agostinho, clawing his way back to the back of the order, should be able, I would think, to make up a few more positions before this race concludes. Easily by Daniel Orloff there on the brakes and down to the apex. Job done.
Yeah, some of the drivers now starting to pay attention to the energy that they're using, and you saw how early Daniel Orlov lifted off to do the lift and coast before braking and getting a little bit of power back in his battery with the regenerative braking. But yeah, that was scary, the speed that Agostino went through. I hope he's managing his energy as well as he should be. We're going to get an update on that in 2 laps time, I think.
Yeah, track still staying dry, no rain in sight for now. So we will see if Michael, the weatherman, will surprise us with some extra raindrops. So far, nothing happening in this department, as we are watching Agostinho in 9th place behind Ronnie Kronpusch, his team boss. And we switch to Mika Sarkinen, who has Nico Puntola and Stephen Martin behind him. And they are all very close together, fighting for this 5th, 6th, and 7th place.
Yeah, Nico Puntola was in 5th position. Ooh, the rear of the car trying to get away there. Nico Puntola was in 5th position until a few laps ago. Teemu Sarkinen has gone through. So Nico down 1, Teemu up 1. At the front, Carlos Macioidis is extending the gap. Imran Azar closed to just over 1 second when he had attack boost on. That attack boost has expired, both of them now on normal power. And Carlos, well, now the gap has come down again. Imran made up 4 tenths in the previous lap, but Carlos Macioidis doing very well to manage this lead, staying just out of Imran's clutches as we approach the halfway mark now.
Indeed, and we should be able to see the energy levels in a few laps. I will not spoil it like I did in the last race, but let's see how the drivers, yes, we have it on screen right now. Let's see how the drivers are doing in this energy department. And Imran Azar actually doing a little bit better than Carlos, but it's only marginal. I think as the energy levels are now, the drivers should be able to finish with no problem, but someone will have more energy for attacking later in the race.
Yeah, Carlos has more than half his energy remaining as he crosses the line. Apologies for the graphic at the top. I believe he's starting the 17th lap of the race. So there it is. He is halfway through the race now and has more than half his energy. So Imran will have, as it runs, will have a little bit more to use and abuse later in the race. But Carlos and the rest of the order in strong positions to make sure they go the distance on power. Nico Puntola, a characteristic energy guzzler. We've seen this in the past. And we've just had a driver drop that was Fornieles running in 11th position, was well down on energy, was almost certainly not going to make the conclusion of the race, has now dropped. You can see if he parked it in pit lane, but he is no longer being scored. So down to 10 drivers, Fornieles retiring from the sprint and also from the feature race, as we see Agostinho Silva go by Stephen Martin. Stephen Martin on the power. Thought he might be alongside on the exit, but Agostinho through, and now in pursuit of Nico Puntola.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at the energy levels there because, well, Stephen Martin definitely needs to do some saving, but around the same amount as Agostinho, and Agostinho able to use a little bit more energy in that instant just to get through. Stephen not feeling as though he needed to defend it with a bit of late braking. So yeah, very differing techniques at this stage of the race, as this is obviously a format that is very much unique to the E-Challenge, this sort of energy saving. We've seen drivers need to do fuel saving in the past, but it's much more extreme in this racing format.
Yes, and I know I've in the past, and certainly again today, I have been a somewhat biased Imran Azar fanboy. Just his energy management is so good. But today, Silva Agostinho having to drive from the rear, make up a lot of time on as much energy as he has remaining. That is brilliant driving, maximizing the car while also trying to conserve as much energy as possible. He is level with the drivers around him on energy, should easily make the end of the race as he's running, but he is also making up time on the drivers ahead. So very nicely managed, nice recovery from Silva Agostino.
Yeah, I think Motoyotis now is going to be sweaty. We know how sweaty he gets during these races, but now he's leading, and he's leading Imran Azar, equal machinery, equal boosts left, and he's got track position. This is going to be a stressful time for Carolis, but yeah, it's nice to see him in the lead at the moment, and Azar has got the challenge on his hands this time round.
Well, the way he's driven so far in this race, he looks like he does this every day. He is so composed. He's been so smooth. He has managed this gap. It hasn't gotten under 1 second. He's kept Imran Azar behind him, and Carolis he's just managing this so brilliantly. He looks like I dare say he looks like Gabber out front, just pounding out the laps.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be slower because his splits are on level or even faster. Than
faster
Imran's.
this lap. Yep.
Still, I am surprised by Gabber's slowness, uncharacteristical in this race. He's third. He's dropped a lot behind, and he has Cyril Bisset coming from behind on him as well. Cyril Bisset actually faster this lap by almost 0.2 of a second than Gabber. I wonder if he made some bad choices with his setup or whatever.
I think he's probably saving energy a little bit. I think he feels as though he needs to do a bit more saving so that he can utilize it later on potentially. It's impossible to know because you're right. It's unusual to see Gabber not closing that gap down, but he's going to be conscious of energy just like everybody else. So we'll see what happens at the latter stages. We've got 14 laps to go. Or 13.
On the topic of energy, in the background, Silva Agostino on the attack boost, so a little bit more power available to him right now within 1 second of Nico Pantola. Well under 1 second now. The last update was 1 second. Now, now that gap is actually reversed. Silva Agostino will go ahead of Nico Pantola on the timing tower through the next split. So Silva Agostino, making great use of the attack boost, has vanished in front of Nico Pantola. He's taken that position just in the last few corners and has well and truly disappeared. Nico Pantola has nothing for him. Silva Agostino up from the very back in the second corner, now to 6th position.
Yeah, excellent stuff from Silva. Across start finish to start lap 21. And yeah, only 3 drivers have exhausted their attack boost, with Agostino, the third driver, to take the second one with 2 minutes left. With that extra 51 kilowatts that he gets to use. As Motoyotis now, has he opened up the gap even more? I think he has. Azar made a slight error on this lap? I think he has. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, another 0.3 of a second.
Yes, indeed.
Wow, this is a great effort from Carolis here. Both of them still with 1 attack mode left to use as well. Now this turns into a game of chess at this point, because if Motoyotis doesn't go through the attack boost and Azar does, then you can reasonably expect that Azar could close that gap down within a lap.
Well, he played it brilliantly earlier. He took the attack boost first, grew the gap slightly, then Imran got on the attack boost and was unable to actually... I mean, they swapped positions at one point, but Motoyotis was able to get back through, and now he's managed this gap. So, I mean, he knows that if they swap positions, he could retake it. They're pretty close to level on energy. Chess game indeed. Does Carolis do the same move that he did earlier, or does he wait to react to Imran? With this kind of gap, he could wait for Imran Azar to take the boost and then react on the following lap. Looking at the energy update, oh goodness, I'm going to say that Nico might be in some trouble, somewhat less than everyone else.
Well, somewhat more than anyone else, surely.
He's used more. He has less.
Yeah.
He should be okay to make it to the finish, but there will be people passing him towards the end of the race, I think.
Well, he's coming through. Let's see, which corner is this now? That's turn 7 and 8, so he's approaching turn 9. He's on the 23rd lap, so he's past 2/3 distance, and he has slightly less than 1/3 energy remaining. So it will be tight, but I think I agree with you. I think you're right. He should just make it.
Well, but as you discussed, Karolis and Imran, there is a 3% difference in their battery charge right now. So although Karolis is fine, it will be interesting to see if Imran uses this extra energy towards the end of the race to push. There is a lot of brake zones, hard brake zones, but these cars don't have such strong brakes to my knowledge. So there might be not that big advantage pushing harder, even though the lap times will definitely show it. But I don't know if with this gap Imran is close enough to really use the energy towards his advantage.
So Zdeněk, you have actually raced these cars. I have only turned a few laps. Can you manipulate the regeneration? Can you be clever with the brakes to try to get a little bit more regen out, or is it does it really depend on the drivers managing their consumption?
Yeah, you can put more brake bias to the rear, but I think that's all you can do here. As Karolis takes his attack mode and Imran takes the lead provisionally, but Karolis pushes the pedal down, and with the extra energy, he goes ahead again.
Yeah, he almost lost the place, but Karolis had opened the gap just enough that when he went for the attack boost, he was able to manage the gap. So this is a dream scenario from Karolis. I'm actually very surprised that Imran didn't just go straight for the boost as well. I wonder why he didn't do it.
Yeah, I think
maybe he didn't see. Maybe he didn't see that he was going for it. I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, if it were me, I think running this closely and knowing that I have slightly more energy and I know how good I am at conserving it, I think I'd just follow him right through. But not so.
Well, it's game on certainly for Imran Azar, as we are watching Stephen Martin, and now we switch to Teemu Sarkkinen, and Silva Agostinho was making another position. It's a bit close into the braking zone, almost contact, but all clean so far, but still side by side into the next right-hander, and Silva looking like, well, not looking like he's going to make it, because the next left-hander is in Teemu Sarkkinen's favor, and he makes it. He keeps the position for now.
Great respectful driving between these two side by side through these corners. That is Sarkkinen, who has gone through, I think, on Silva Agostinho, had made up that position and now lost it once again. Tight racing between these two side by side through the first 5 corners, but advantage right now to Teemu.
Yep, down to turn 9 they come. And, well, neither of them with the boost at this stage, but I wonder if Teemu will just go and grab that now to dispatch of Silva Agostinho. Nope. So Teemu still with 1 boost remaining, and yeah, he's going to have to go and grab it on this lap, I think, if he wants to keep Agostinho at bay. But no, he's gone through now.
Yeah, wheel-to-wheel contact there, but Silva Agostinho through, but Teemu Sarkkinen carrying speed around the outside, but unfortunately for him, and this time through the first, second, third corner, Silva Agostinho has the advantage. Imran Azar unable to make progress on Karolis Macioidis, still hasn't been through the attack boost. Karolis has a little more than a minute and a half remaining, so Karolis wants to extend this gap slightly. I think he has the advantage here. Even though Imran Azar has a slight energy advantage, he's going to lose a second going through the attack boost, and he'll need to make up probably, as if Karolis can maintain this gap, he'll need to make up 2.5 seconds on the road, and he is running out of laps to use the attack boost. Only 7 remaining now. Karolis, I think, in the strongest position to finish in the lead.
Yeah, as we watch Teemu and Silva still fighting for the 5th place, I was checking the splits of the first 2 drivers, and Karolis is able to make a 1/4 of a second in one split, but then he lost it on the other one. So keeping the gap. As Imran Azar goes for his attack boost finally, so the gap was 1.25 seconds on the last split, but now it's a game on from Imran Azar, who has to show his true colors, put all in into these 4 minutes he has now available with more extra power.
This is going to be absolutely fascinating now to see whether Imran has enough actual pace under this car. He had the pace in the all-wheel drive, but Karolis has got the edge on him in the rear-wheel drive version, which is really interesting.
But
yes, it is.
Still, Imran has the 4% extra of energy almost by now than Karolis, so he might use it for this extra boost on this track in his car to gain some time back.
Well, we saw this at the Berlin circuit last year where Imran was running near the front and just managed his energy so well that he was able to finish strongly. It looks like he could do that here today, but Karolis has managed his race so well. That is a 3-second gap as they come through the split. And Imran Azar, though he has the extra energy, he has the extra power, Karolis has just managed this so well. We'll have to keep an eye on this gap, see how quickly it closes, down to 2.2 seconds. But again, laps running down, Karolis managing this so well. He's done the same thing lap after lap. Karolis Matioitis has not put a wheel wrong. He's been perfect. It looks like he has managed this. But again, Imran, the master of driving these cars quickly and also managing the energy, he's taken 6/10 out of Karolis.
Massive difference in one lap. It was more than 1 second, 1.25 seconds at least in the final 2 splits.
This is unbelievable. The gap has come down faster than I think I thought it would. But if you look at the energy story, you can see that it's quite a bleak picture for Matioitis in comparison to Azar, who can basically brake much later, lift off much later than Matioitis. 3% more power.
Yeah, it is what I mentioned earlier.
Unbelievable.
That energy difference is playing in Imran Azar's advantage massively right now, and still it is 3% difference despite all the extra power he's using right now. So let's see. This is a long straight. We will see him catch up for sure.
Yeah, he's got about 1 lap remaining of this extra power. Oh my goodness, Imran Azar goes sailing by. Karolis Matioitis, not to be outdone, tries to hold the outside on the power. Imran Azar unfortunately through in turns 2 and 3. He's done it again. He's managed the energy. He has pulled a blinder, taking the attack boost late in the race. And I thought Karolis Matioitis had managed this perfectly, gotten the gap where he needed it to be. But Imran Azar, not to be outdone, the master of managing these cars, has gone through late.
Wasted no time, wasted no energy, or we have wasted a lot of energy, of course, and made it through much with some style, because that was one big dive, and I think Karolis also knew that it is over.
There is a back marker ahead of these cars. We saw I think that was Nico Pontola, who is now running in 10th, trundling around trying to make sure his car gets to the end of the race. So Nico could figure into this with 4 laps remaining. No, sorry, 3 laps remaining. They just started the 31st lap. Imran Azar now has a 1 second advantage over Karolis Matioitis. That was over the line. It looks like it's growing through the first corner. So Karolis not completely out of it yet as we look back to Daniel Orlov, who is harassing Stephen Martin. Stephen Martin, who was holding on well in 6th position, and now Daniel Orlov goes sailing by, not even with extra power, just gets the job done on throttle. Stephen Martin tries the cutback, but has to tuck in Daniel Orlov through into 7th position. Stephen Martin will fall back into the clutches of Ronnie Kronbusch.
Yeah, everybody has taken their boost now, so everyone's on the final boost as well.
No post-race penalties this time.
Not so far as we know.
Oh, deep into turn 1 there, but Ronnie's now through on the Steve as well.
Yeah, there was a really good overtaking move from both, actually, because this left-hander goes on forever and it tightens a little bit. So even if you are braking, you are still turning left, so you have to be careful of the car next to you.
Imran has begun the 32nd lap. That disables the attack boost. Everyone has taken it, so there won't be any penalties for that, as Zdeněk mentioned a moment ago. Carlos Matioitis still chasing Imran Azar in the background, but Imran extending that gap a tenth or two here and there as we look down at Teemu Sarkkinen trying to reclaim this position from Silva Agostinho. Once again, Silva Agostinho turned around backward in the very first corner of the first lap of the race, though it looks like Silva defending, perhaps conserving. Teemu Sarkkinen with that great onboard shot for us. Going to do this around the outside. These two have done a lot of racing with one another so far. Side by side once again. We saw this a few laps ago. Silva Agostinho trying to hold. Here we go, the helicopter shot. Has to leave a little bit of room on the inside. Teemu Sarkkinen is through into 5th position. These two have given us the most side-by-side action as Silva Agostinho late on the brakes, using a lot of power to get side-by-side. Both of them alongside once again into the apex through the kink here. Silva Agostinho has to yield the position, though he's going to be right under Teemu Sarkkinen's diffuser as they approach the turn 9 hairpin. Oh, contact!
Whoa, whoa, no!
Not the final lap. Whoa.
What happened there? I was watching it from Silva's onboard. I'm not sure what happened because they came close together so fast. I mean, Teemu was slowing down, or I'm not sure actually, but
yeah, giving him the place back now.
Gentleman's behavior as we see Imran Azar take one of the final turns of this race. He's taking the fast chicane and into the last 2 hairpins before he takes his well-deserved win after his energy management and the attack boost usage. And yeah, very well done.
Yeah, Imran Azar out of the final corner now will cross the line to win the feature race. 2 feature wins from 2 starts in the 2025 E-Challenge season. Carlos Matioitis, a spirited drive, was unable to hold on to the top spot, crosses the line in 2nd with Gabber in 3rd, rounding out the podium. We wait for the remaining drivers to cross the line. Cyril Basset should come across in 4th. He does indeed.
With
well
no energy.
Clear.
Yeah, he ran out.
Cyril Basset ran out coming out of the final quarter.
But with
so
the fastest lap of the race.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, brilliantly done by him. Fastest lap by a huge margin. Hats off to him.
It's huge.
So fast. What was the qualifying? What was the qualifying pole position time?
Oh, an extra finish!
Oh my God!
Wow. So
Yeah,
Agostinho again with Sarkkinen. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Agostinho yielded the position back to Teemu Sarkkinen as everyone else coming through to finish the race has to split Silva Agostinho. That's twice in this race that everyone has had to take evasive action around Silva Agostinho in the middle of the road. So Silva yielded the position back to Teemu if they had after they had contact, and then they ended up side by side coming across the line. Had contact again. Teemu Sarkkinen came out on the better end of it, crosses the line just 2/10 ahead of Silva Agostinho, both of them pirouetting.
Ronnie,
well, my
barely
word,
beating Orlov for 7th place as well.
Yeah, an exciting conclusion to that race, but not exactly what we expected. Imran Azar wins the feature, 2 from 2 feature races ahead of Carlos Matioitis, who finishes 3 seconds back after a spirited defense of the top spot. Gabber rounds out the podium in 3rd. Cyril Basset crosses the line with no energy in 4th ahead of Teemu Sarkkinen and Silva Agostinho. Lots of close racing, a little bit too close, even right at the end in 5th and 6th. Roni Kronpush crosses the line in 7th as we see shenanigans from Gabber, typical Gabber in the background. Daniel Orlov finishes in 8th position ahead of Steven Martin. Nico Pantola rounds out the top 10. And Fornieles, the only retirement, 42% of the race completed. 19 laps adrift of Imran Azar in the front. Well, gentlemen, a very exciting race as usual for E-Challenge. That was a delight, and perhaps. And oh my goodness, Gabber's car. Why does he do this? Perhaps though it looked like Carolus had a chance. Imran Azar does a typical Imran Azar race to take the top spot.
Yeah, and I was complaining about the amount of drivers participating, but see, we have 11 drivers, 10 finishers. We have too much excitement, even with this number. But can we handle more excitement? I think we can. So hopefully next race we can also see more drivers on the grid. But thanks to all the drivers participating today, who provided us with very excellent racing and a lot of action.
I echo that sentiment. Yes, thank you all to everyone who participated. Brilliant driving. We have Carolus in the interview waiting room. Love to get a word from him. Carolus, welcome. It looked like you could pull off a feature win. Unfortunately, you were outdone by the master of energy management once again. Talk us through your race.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was enjoying driving first. I thought I was okay on energy because I had a good start, so I didn't waste too much energy getting up to the front. But occasionally I did check Imran's charge, and at some point I think he had roughly 3% more than I did. So that's a whole extra lap. So yeah, I knew that, all right, he's behind me, but at some point he's just gonna push a bit and overtake me like nothing. But I am happy that I beat Haber.
Yeah, that is no small achievement.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We have been debating during the race one thing, that drivers, some drivers used attack mode very early and wanted to be rid of it. What do you think about the attack boost? Is it harder for you to drive with more power compared to the normal energy level during this feature race?
Harder? No, I wouldn't think so. By now I have realized that attack boost is essentially energy saving mode, because yes, you have more power, but at the same time you have to remember that the same engine is used as a generator, so you have more regenerative capacity. So you get up to speed earlier, so you can lift earlier, and then while braking, more of the energy gets back into battery. So yeah, I don't try to increase my pace, I try to keep the pace. Well, it does naturally increase a bit, but yeah, I try to keep it on target during boost.
Still, I've seen during the race that you have been constantly lower on energy than Imran Azar, about 3 or 4%. So what do you think he's doing differently?
Well, we are in the same channel chatting, so I know he's using a little less lower brake bias, as in 41% at the rear instead of me 43, but I don't think the 3% gives such a difference. So I guess he's just driving a bit more fluently, less wheel spin, etc.
Okay, that was some interesting information from you. Thank you for these tips and hacks for us and for other drivers possibly to next races.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carolus. Always a joy and a privilege to talk to you. Congratulations again on second position. Very close to the top. I think you're going to get one before the season's over. Thanks again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Carolus. I think we've got Imran Azar next for you, Travis.
Imran, I thought Carolus had the measure of you today as the race wound down. It looked like he had built enough of a gap that he could hold you off. And then you swiped the attack boost, you saved an extra lap of energy, and then, by golly, you've done it again. Talk us through the conclusion to that race.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, it was a tricky race. Like, I think with the new rules as well, like when they decided to add the all-wheel drive into the whole event, especially when you try to like go from a quali and sprint race on an all-wheel drive to feature race with just the rear wheel drive. It's a completely different car. So much adapting to do. Yeah, it was tricky at the start, like lots of mistakes and wheel spins. But yeah, it took a while to get into the groove, and yeah, managed to get some sort of rhythm going, and from there it was just sort of like just a bit of saving and trying to like keep pace with Carolus at least. And then yeah, just waiting for the right moment to pounce. So I saw that he took his attack boost a bit earlier than what I thought he'd normally do. So yeah, so I decided to try to do like an alternate kind of like strategy, and take it a bit later towards the race when I was like sure that I had enough energy to push. So that's when I took it like 5 laps before the end, and I think that paid off.
Yeah. Well, your management and strategy calls prevail once again. Talk us through the penalty in the sprint race. It caused us a bit of confusion in the commentary box, and we didn't have it sorted out until the break between the sprint and the feature. Were you caught out by that? I guess tell us what happened there.
Yes. To be honest, I totally forgot about this like rule, like because I was kind of like remembering last year's rules. Like I think last year they had the rule where like if it's a wet race you don't have to take the boost. I totally like didn't see that the rules changed.
Neither did we, don't worry.
Yeah.
Not just you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in all sense, I think Gabo had that race anyways because he took the boost like right after the pits. So like I totally forgot that like there's a few laps left, and like when he took that boost, and like I knew for sure that like if I took the boost again he would definitely undercut me anyway, so I had to like stay out. But then then in all sense as well, like that was that rule as well, where you had to take the boost regardless anyway. So caught me a bit by surprise, but it is what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, the last question for me then. Gabber still leads the points, but you closed on him today. I think you sacrificed a little bit in the sprint race, but a good sprint finish last week, 2 feature wins from 2 starts. It looks like you've gotten to the measure of Gabber. What do you do into the final 3 rounds to clear Gabber and take another championship?
I don't know. Just I guess keep more consistent, less mistakes. The last week I made a huge mistake. I think in the sprint I spun actually, and then recovered for the feature race anyway, so that was good. But I think it's just minimizing all these mistakes, all these penalties and stuff. I think that would just maximizing the weekend basically. So that's the key thing for the next few rounds at least.
Well, once again, congratulations to you on a great feature win today. Unfortunate for the sprint, but that's, again, for everyone watching, 2 feature wins from 2 starts. Not quite the sweep you had at this track last year, but still a great performance. So hats off to you, congratulations, and thank you for joining us in the commentary box.
Thank you.
Thanks, Imran. I think we've got Cyril Bisset, 4th in the overall provisional championship. Cyril, welcome to the commentary box. 4th place in the championship provisionally after tonight's performance. How do you feel?
Hello. Pretty good. I won't lie. Very, very good result for me, especially the sprint since I got promoted to P2, but finished P4 on the track on both races, so very happy with that.
Yes, solid result. Good effort for both races tonight. I mean, talk us through the end of the sprint race with a number of drivers receiving those penalties. Were the rules clear to you? Because there was a bit of a faux pas in the commentary box as well.
I was surprised by it also. I don't think it was like that even in round 1, so I'm not sure if things change or something. But I think it's the first time I see attack mode being disabled on the penultimate lap. But I took the attack mode right after I pitted, so no issue for me.
You had 0% when you crossed the line. Have you been nervous in the final laps?
I knew I had just enough battery left, so I pushed a tiny bit, and I ran out of energy right on the exit of the last hairpin.
So you were confident that you will make it from the final turn to the finish line?
Yeah.
Okay, perfectly judged. Yeah. Can't be better than that.
I did check my energy level, my battery every lap basically. So I knew I had enough battery to cross the line.
Well, congratulations. You have been doing well in the first round and now also in the second round. And as we see the provisional standings, you are 4th overall in the standings. So that's a really nice position towards the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in the sprint race, I was surprised to finish P4 because I think Nico made a mistake in the pits and I passed him that way. During the feature race though, I didn't try to fight too hard to get through the field. I even managed to save some battery doing so. So I used my first attack boost to basically get rid of the field and try to catch up to Gabor. Of course, I wasn't expecting at all to reach him, but then I just went ahead and managed my battery. So I'm almost surprised I managed to get so close to the front of the field actually.
And have you used the attack boost to get your fastest lap as well? Because that was one hell of a fastest lap, 0.8 of a second faster than the second fastest lap.
Yeah,
that was a great surprise for us. Nicely done.
Yeah, I was surprised nobody else did that actually. I think I made a provisional fastest lap during my first attack boost to catch up to Gabor. Catch up within 3.5 seconds, and since I knew I had enough battery to finish the race, I pushed a bit on the second attack boost as well.
Well done.
Yeah, great result, Cyril. Are you looking forward to the next one 2 weeks time? And yeah, this championship is relentless, but yeah, we head to the Portland E-Prix Circuit for the second time. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding more confidence in both cars actually. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Well, Cyril Basset, congratulations. P4 overall currently in the standings. The fastest lap in that second race as well. So we'll see you next time. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. See you next time.
I believe that is all we have for today. 3 interviews. We thank Cyril Basset, Carlos Machioidis, and Imran Azar for joining us in the commentary box. Peter, Zdeněk, round out your thoughts on yet another brilliant E-Challenge event.
Well, one day we will get Gabor to the commentary box as well.
He's been in once. I believe it was an E-Challenge event last season.
Yes,
he came in and said hi and then left.
Yeah, well, maybe next time he will say at least 2 words. We'll see.
Or 5 letters. Hello, maybe. A bit more than... Yeah, anyway. Super event, second race of the season. Plenty of drama. And yeah, it looks like the drivers are getting more to grips with the all-wheel drive variant. I think that's fair to say, Zdeněk.
It looked like a bit more interesting from these drivers. There is some, as we mentioned, some trickery to this car as it doesn't oversteer so much, but it takes some using too. But the drivers did well today.
I think so. The amount of mental arithmetic as that Cyril was talking about that you have to do to the energy saving. This competition, this series demands a lot from the drivers. So we do thank them for turning up and giving us the show, because without them we cannot do this. So yeah, thanks to the drivers that turn up and put in the effort to prepare for E-Challenge. That's my final thought, Travis.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Peter and Zdeněk. Thank you both for joining me in the commentary box today, too. It has been a joy to share the box with you. I like this 3-way dynamic. I hope we can do it again sometime. Maybe we make it 4 with Tom. Hopefully he can join us next time around.
Dear.
I miss you, Tom. Come say hi for the next one and the remaining races if you can.
Indeed.
That is all for us. So from us in the booth to everyone who is involved, the crew, the JPs running race control. I saw Rick Krashitska in there. The rest of the MRC team, Michael in particular, for doing a lot of work to put on these events. We thank all of them. Pete and Zdeněk in the commentary box today, Mo in our ears and running the cameras, all of the drivers who have joined and participated. We can't do it without you, and most of all, everyone who has tuned in today to watch. We value and we really appreciate your patronage, your support, and we're thrilled to bring these events to you. We're glad you enjoyed them so much. Thank you all very much once again. Wherever you are, be safe and be well. We will see you next time for round 3 in 2 weeks. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.